dimension of your brain.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
From having decent feedback and positive reviews from their trailers, to having their game being shown off at an event in Los Angeles, to now being completely discontinued and abandoned by the developers. This has to be one of the strangest stories I've seen in a video game's lifespan, and this is coming from somebody who has played this game for a couple of years. But the main question that has probably been asked is why? Why was this game abandoned by the developers in the first place? And I think I might have found the answer to that question. And to be honest, it's not that surprising. From the game's awful microtransaction and gacha system, to then completely abusing the copyright system on YouTube, I think it was obvious that the cracks were already starting to show before this game even had its potential to shine. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining why Mo Ninja Girls failed from the start and why it was eventually abandoned by the developers. Now before we begin this video, if you guys can do me one favor and subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bells, I would really appreciate it. And also, leave a comment down below and tell me your thoughts on Mo Ninja Girls' lifespan and its discontinuation. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about it. So let's get into the video. It's honestly not surprising nowadays to have a video game that would have some kind of in-game currency or microtransaction, especially when it comes to the mobile industry. However, when it comes to Mo Ninja Girls, I think they take the cake for being the most abusive with the microtransaction system. One of the biggest controversies about this game was its ticket system. To basically play the game, you need tickets, and basically each part of a chapter costs 1 ticket. Now this wouldn't be as much of an issue if it wasn't for the fact that each chapter has 10 to 12 parts long at most. So to basically finish one chapter, you would need at least 10 tickets. And keep in mind, the more you progress through the season, the longer the chapters get, basically meaning that there's gonna be more parts to it, which you're gonna need more tickets. And once you run out of tickets, you either need to wait in order to get free tickets or you have to buy them. And the more you progress through the game, the more tickets you'll need, which means you're gonna need a lot of jewels. The best way I can describe how the jewels work is basically how Overwatch 2 handles their in-game currency. It's a bunch of bullshit. Many of the items in this game cost a huge amount of jewels, which basically means that you're going to be going through a lot of them and eventually run out of them quickly. But the main thing that you're going to need your jewels for the most is the checkpoints that are in the game. The checkpoints never made any sense to me as to why they're in the game in the first place. They're basically these stupid paywalls that you have no choice but to pay just to get past them in order to continue on with the story. And it's not once or twice this happens, they come out frequently throughout the seasons. Now they do give you an option as to which route you want to go, but there really isn't a difference into which one you go with, because they're all exactly the same. The only real difference between the routes you go is basically the picture. The premium route is basically a little bit more of an explicit picture, while the regular route is a little bit more wholesome. And there is barely a difference between them, maybe a little bit of clothes tearing here and there, but that's it. And the worst part about this is that the farther you go into the chapters, the more expensive they get. Some of the checkpoints can go upwards about $10 for the premium. And if you don't have any of the jewels to basically get past the checkpoint, you're pretty much fucked. You have to pay the checkpoint in order to just get on with the story and continue. This basically makes it difficult for free-to-play players in order to be able to proceed through the game. And keep in mind, that's just one of the checkpoints that they have, because they have another one that is just as dumb as this one. This checkpoint basically requires souls in order to pass. And the way you get these souls is by playing the ninja battle game. The ninja battle is another thing that makes zero sense as to why it's even in the game. Another thing I should mention is that this game for some reason requires Wi-Fi in order to play it, despite this game not even having any multiplayer at all. The best way I can describe the ninja battle is basically that it's some kind of weird mashup of like a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh game. To put it simply, whoever has the most power out of the two people basically wins. And then the more you win, the more souls you'll get, which is how you'll get past this specific checkpoint. And if you don't have enough souls to basically get past the checkpoint, you can simply just use jewels to get past them with. So to put it simply, you need jewels in order to play this game. If you don't have any jewels, you're basically fucked. And that's not even going over the other problems that this game faces. There's also a couple of other things that this game offers, such as gachas, limited time events, and spin-offs. But at the same time too, you need tickets and jewels just to play them. It's like no matter what you do in this game, you're gonna need some type of currency in order to progress. There's also another thing that you can do in order to earn jewels, which is a thing called tab joy, but it's pretty much fucking useless. Now keep in mind, this thing is only available for iOS and Android, so if you're wanting to do this on Steam, you basically can't. The thing basically makes you try to do a bunch of surveys and maybe try to add a couple subscriptions to your accounts and all that, just so you can add up a couple of currencies to get some jewels. And you don't even get a lot from Tapjoy. Sometimes it could just be very little for no fucking reason. It's all a bunch of useless shit just to waste your time. The gachas themselves too are just a bunch of fucking ripoffs. You pay a lot just to have a very little chance of getting the thing you want. You can spend upwards of $100 to still not even get the thing you wanted the most. That's basically just a big fuck you middle finger right there. Now Solmare did eventually fix the issue with the ticket system, where instead of having to wait 4 hours just for one free ticket, it's now only 2 hours. But you're still waiting like half the day just for a few tickets that'll maybe get you like a fraction of the story. That's equivalent to training a couple of troops for a battle in Clash of Clans back in 2015. I can go on and on about the microtransaction, but I think you get the point now. So now we're going to talk about basically what was one of the most damaging things that Solmare could have done to the series. And oh boy, this is going to be a good one right here. Oh boy, the copyright strikes. So, back in 2020, Solmare had some kind of, some kind of episode or something, because they basically had started to attack their own community. And not just specifically the community, but the content creators themselves. Now, as somebody who was an MMG creator, before I came to this channel specifically, I didn't really have any issues with Solmare regarding copyright issues, but I know a lot of people who did. The situation got so bad to the point where literally somebody had put a petition on change.org to have Solmare stop abusing the system. From what I've been able to figure out over the years, a couple actual YouTubers had their channels terminated because of the situation. Keep in mind, majority of the Mo Ninja Girls YouTubers that were uploading content on this game had literally less than 1,000 subscribers. The thing that confused pretty much everybody in the community was why. What was the reason for this? Now, while Solmare never confirmed or explained the reason being of why, we do have a couple theories as to the reasons being. One of the main theories that was accepted throughout the community was simply money. And if you look closely, with all the evidence that is combined, it actually makes a lot of sense. To put it simply, if YouTubers were to upload gameplay of the chapters and spin-offs and also the events that happen throughout the game, why would people decide to go then on the game itself, spend their money just to read the chapters themselves when they can just simply watch it on YouTube? This actually makes a whole lot of sense itself, if you think about it. And not to mention, with the amount of evidence showing by the microtransaction, it was kind of becoming pretty obvious that Solmare was becoming very greedy. It seemed like basically what they were thinking was that whatever was going to prevent them from making money, they had to stop. So this might explain why they went on a whole entire YouTube copyright takedown rampage. And let's just say the community did not take this nicely. Pretty much everybody had the same opinion that yeah, this was abusive of the copyright system, and also at the same time, this was just straight up plain greediness. And I've read so many comments, from YouTube to Reddit to Facebook, pretty much anywhere that discussed this drama, I've read it. And yet, still to this day, we have yet to hear any response from Solmare or any apology at all. And quite a bit of people started to leave this game. Some YouTubers had to quit Mo Ninja Girls in general and upload something else on their channels, or they had to quit YouTube entirely. However, some Mo Ninja Girl YouTubers actually had figured out an idea on how to still upload content on this game. We mostly simply just made telegrams and just posted our videos unlisted, so that way Solmare had a hard time seeing them. And surprisingly, it actually worked. Eventually, the drama did die down after a while, but it really did leave a bad reputation on Solmare themselves, basically showing how greedy and desperate they are for money, even if that means they have to attack their own fanbase and the community. And I generally feel bad for the people who had to go through the situation of having their channels taken down and striked. Now that that situation was out of the way, I'm going to talk about another issue that occurred only a few months later. And this is going to be about a game that they actually teased and released. I really hate to talk about this topic because really, if I'm going to be honest, I had a lot of high hopes for this game. So back around 2019, Solmare had released a trailer for an upcoming game they were working on called Mo Ninja Girls RPG. A funny thing to note is that when I first saw this trailer, I thought this was a joke and it was just some fan that actually made this themselves. But as soon as I found out that this game was actually real, I was actually pretty hyped. The game actually looked really good. For one thing, the game actually had facial animations for the characters. Not to mention, when you log into the game, the menu layout actually looks really nice too. And not to mention, this game had an entire battle game mode with it. Like, holy shit, this was amazing. The minute I found out this game was coming out, I pre-registered as soon as possible. This game had pretty much fixed a lot of the main issues that were in the original game. For starters, the ticket system was removed from the game completely. So now you didn't have to wait an entire day just to play a little bit of the game. The checkpoints were also completely removed too. So now it felt like we didn't have to get stuck at a certain paywall and pull out our wallets just to get past it. And do you want to know what was one of the best things they added in this game? Fucking voice actors. At this point, everybody was pretty much hyped for this game. And after a couple months of waiting, we would finally get a beta launch. I had actually gotten early access to the beta when it first launched. And from what I remember playing it, I actually had a really good time. I didn't even think there would be that many issues for when this game were to come at launch. And surprisingly, I was correct. When the game fully launched, people were praising it. Everybody actually liked the game. Now, I wouldn't say this was like the best game ever because there were definitely some flaws in this game that it had. Now, while they didn't really get rid of the entire jewel system, they added this weird gimmick where there was also paid jewels and free jewels that you can get. Now, when I first saw this, it confused the hell out of me, and I'm pretty sure it confused many people as well. But thankfully, it didn't affect the game as much as people would have expected it to. Another minor issue that I guess I can point out was that the game was pretty grindy. You really had to take the time to upgrade your characters and give them better items in order to pass the levels. And some of the levels in the game actually required you to do a couple battles that you needed in order to progress on with the story. And the farther throughout the season that you go, the more difficult the levels get. But besides those two main issues, there wasn't really that many problems that the game had. And to a lot of people, this game looked like it had a lot of potential coming its way. They even made an official YouTube channel for this game too. So honestly, it seemed like this series was gonna go pretty well after all. But man, oh man, were we wrong about that. Because on March 22nd of 2022, Mo Ninja Girls RPG will be shut down, after being in a year of maintenance mode. What the actual fuck? This came to a surprising for many people because we honestly thought that this game was going to be a next step up in the series. But it turns out all that promotion and hard work was for nothing because this game didn't even last for about 2 years. The story itself wasn't also that long either. It only had about 7 seasons before they quickly wrapped it up. The worst part about this is that Solmare didn't really give a direct answer as to why they were shutting down RPG. And this becomes a common thing they start doing, which is very bad on its own. Because this kind of basically shows that they don't give a shit about their fan base and they just want to keep doing this for the money. And I think that's the main reason why this game shut down. I have heard at one point that the reason they shut the game down was simply because of the lack of ideas and that they were burned out with the overwhelming amount of work. Yeah, that is totally believable. The way of how I see it is basically this. 1, they're lazy as hell. 2, they barely put any effort into their work at all. The only real time they actually did it was this game. And 3, there's really no effort or creativity put into their games. Many of the limited time events and gachas reuse the same assets from the original story. The only real difference being is that they changed the story and the text. So in reality, there's really no excuse for them to be overwhelmed with work when they literally put no effort into their games. But that didn't seem to matter for them anyways, because as soon as March rolled around, they completely shut the servers down and removed the game from the app stores. The only positive thing that came out of this was that they added the original RPG characters into the original game. But even after the servers shut down and all that, I'm pretty sure people are still pissed to this day. And honestly, I do believe this might have been the final nail in the coffin that killed this series. Because it kind of opened pretty much everybody's eyes that Solmare was just a greedy company that only cared about themselves and the money. And then more and more people stopped playing this game. Even the Steam charts too showed like a massive decline in player base. And it's not just at March when this happened. If you looked back when this game first launched, it had struggled just to keep a decent player base. Now do keep in mind that this was only Steam because I couldn't find any database to show how many players were currently playing Mo Ninja Girls on iOS and Android. But if I were to take a rough estimate, I would say that definitely this game was for sure declining when this announcement was made. And things only got worse after they announced that only a month later they would be discontinuing the original game, putting an end to the series entirely. The only thing they did say that they were going to be working on was that they were going to make sure that the game would work on higher end devices and they were going to be releasing old time events and gachas. Basically trying to milk out the remaining money of their dead game now. Now, despite them saying that they were going to provide more reasons on why they were going to discontinue the original game, they actually never did. And believe me, I looked everywhere on their Facebook page and could not find a single response or answer as to why they discontinued the original game. They pretty much would ignore everybody who would be asking why they discontinued the game and never give a response. So sadly, I guess we'll never find out the real reason. But it probably had to do with the fact that the game was declining in popularity and that it wasn't making any more money. So they probably knew that it was time to pack up their bags and completely abandon the series. I think the rest of the team basically went on back to the other game that they've been working on, which was called Obey Me. The series itself has 3 games on the App Store and a pretty big fan base on YouTube as well. And if I'm correct as well, they even have an animated series for this game. However, when I was looking up information about this game and all that, I found some pretty interesting things about it. There was a lot of controversy on Reddit saying that this game was hella grindy and that it had a lot of microtransaction in it. So from what I was able to read for a bit, I'm guessing that Solmare has not learned their lesson yet after the original MMG game. From all the evidence that I've been able to gather, I can assume that maybe they decided to leave MMG because of Obey Me. Simply because the game has a bigger fan base and it's probably bringing Solmare a lot of money from it. And this right here basically concludes the straw that broke the camel's back for Mo Ninja Girls. So, that's all for now. I'm sure maybe in a few years this video will be heavily outdated. We'll probably have a Mo Ninja Girls game for console, or we might have a VR edition for the game itself. Maybe even the anime series that people always wanted. Hell, the game's nearly 8 years old and maybe eventually Solmare will realize their mistakes and come back to the series. But for now, I think it's best that we put the series to rest. It's been a long ride for it and I'm pretty sure it has done everything that it could for all of us. But what I do really want to say is that this series really does hold a special place in my heart. Because of this game, it has given me an opportunity that I thought I would never be able to reach. I was able to grow my channel upwards of 400 subscribers in less than a couple years. And I've been doing YouTube since I was 10 years old, back all the way in August of 2016. I was just a little boy who had a dream to become a big YouTuber one day. And because of this game, it has helped me reach an audience that I never thought I would be able to get. I even met some really cool people in the MMG community that I even got to talk with and hang out. So I really wanted to take the time and say thank you to everybody in the MMG community, because without all of you, I would have never been able to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I am very grateful for all the support that I've gotten throughout all those years. It's been one hell of a ride, and I do wish everybody in the MMG community the best of luck in life. And I also really want to thank all my supporters who have been here with me throughout this journey as well. Because of you guys, I've learned one thing in life is to never give up on the things you love the most. And I am going to stick by those words no matter what. So that's going to wrap it up for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel because I would really appreciate it. And make sure not to forget to follow me on my other social media platforms. They will be linked in the description below. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.